Yeah, this has been a fun, very short project, but something that's been good. So with Georgina and Quin, who joined us for a Dean Summer Research Scholarship, which is a 2-month, short project. This is building. I'll tell us a little bit more about it, but building off another project that Gabby did, and sampling some more sites and trying to build up a better and bigger picture of the quality of parks in Greater Hobart across a few different municipalities, which has been fun. So, so it should be in presenter mode. Should all be good, I think. Beautiful arrows, maybe there.
Fantastic. All right, yeah, guys, this is good volume. Assume it is. My name's Quin. I'm economics and science student going into my last year at UTAS.
And I'm Georgina, and I'm going into my 3rd year of a Bachelor of Science with double majors in Maths and Geography.
Yeah, so Dave just gave a quick intro, but over the last couple of months, we've had the chance to do the Dean Summer Research Program with UTAS, with the Healthy Landscapes group. And during this project, we looked at urban green space quality and measuring it in the Greater Hobart region. So a quick little rundown of the importance of this research and a bit of context as well. Urban green space has been shown to be important to both the physical and the mental health of people. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, the usage of these areas and the benefit and need for them has been really emphasised. The focus of a lot of past work around urban green spaces is really focused on the access to urban green spaces, or more like around the quantity of it. But recently there's been more of acknowledgement about the importance of quality of the urban green spaces and how we need to acknowledge the quality of it and work on it in order to gain the benefits from it. And when it comes to quantity and quality of urban green spaces, there's been some disparities noticed across socioeconomics in some areas. And if there is a disparity across socioeconomics, it can result in a form of environmental injustice. So with these things in mind, we started this project with 2 main aims in mind. First was to investigate the relationship between socioeconomic status and urban green space quality, and the second was to analyse the spatial distribution of urban green space quality, both of which are across the Greater Hobart area. So the methods we used were just a continuation of those developed by Gabby in an honours thesis in 2019. It involved using playgrounds and urban forests to represent urban green spaces, and then we determined the quality of them using the natural environment scoring tool, which developed a quantitative score for them. So here's the tool that we took out into the field. Sorry if it's a bit small, I don't know if you can actually quite see the breakdown, but it assessed quality using several different categories. The first was access, which looked at the quantity and quality of the different entrance points and paths in a site. The next was recreational facilities, which looked at both open areas and infrastructure. Then we had amenities, natural aesthetics, non-natural aesthetics, which looked at things of historic or artistic value. And then usability, which was a very diverse category and the most heavily weighted in the tool. It rewarded sites for having diverse uses within the site. So this is the data set that we developed to sample our playground sites with. We sourced all our data from publicly available sources, so council websites and open data, and it was used in conjunction with ABS data to assign a socioeconomic value to each one of the points in that map. And we then randomly sampled from these, stratified by the socioeconomics. And yeah, sorry if this was a bit small as well, but here are our urban forest sites highlighted in the blue, broken down by the different LGAs. We developed these by using list map layers and also sampled them based on the socioeconomics of the LGA.
So we initially looked at differences in mean NEST scores across the LGAs, and we found that Kingborough and Brighton were the 2 highest scoring LGAs overall, with Glenorchy following closely behind and Clarence and Hobart having the 2 lowest overall scores. For Kingborough, Hobart and Brighton, Parks scored higher than Forest, and for Clarence and Glenorchy, Forest scored higher than Parks. We then compared this difference in means using box and whisker plots. Although they showed some evidence in variation across the LGAs, further statistical testing showed that there was no significant difference in means. Therefore, there seems to be no issues related to environmental justice in the case of green space quality within our sample. This may suggest that there is another driving factor for variation in site quality, which could be attributed to governance tools such as policy and strategic plans. We looked into the open space strategies for different LGAs and noted that they each approached the issue of green space management in different ways, which supported the observed patterns in our data. For example, Brighton and Kingborough's open space strategies were extensive and specific and aligned strongly with the criteria outlined in the NEST. However, we can't state this finding definitively as there may have been issues with the effectiveness of the tool or the smallness of the sample size. We then compared NEST scores to individual socioeconomic scores for each park site to see if there was a stronger relationship within sites rather than across the LGAs. This was done for parks only as we were unable to produce accurate socioeconomic scores for forests due to their large size. The results of the analysis showed a weak relationship between NEST and socioeconomic scores, supporting the idea of no environmental injustice issues within urban green spaces in our sample. We then tested this relationship within each LGA, and the results showed a weak to medium relationship for most LGAs, with the exception of Glenorchy, which showed a strong positive correlation, but there were only 3 data points collected for this site, this criteria, so we can't state this finding definitively. We next compared the NEST category scores across LGAs, and the main findings of this were that usability makes up the largest proportion of overall NEST scores of all categories. The score from the recreation category had a flow-on effect to the usability score, which meant that parks tended to score more highly overall due to recreational facilities such as sports grounds and play equipment being present in parks and not forests. Brighton did notably well in both of these categories due to the variety of recreational facilities that were present at the sites. We also noted that the variability scored better in the NEST than extremely good facilities in one area. For example, playground equipment was scored on a scale of 1 to 3, with 3 meaning that the playgrounds catered for multiple age groups and were in good condition. However, there were many playgrounds that deserved higher scoring due to quantity and quality of their equipment, but there was no way to reward this using the NEST. We also tested to see if there was a relationship between socioeconomic scores and categories for parks. We constructed scatter plots and fit linear models to see if there was a socioeconomic impact on category types, but the results from this testing were insignificant.
So through this project, we noticed a number of limitations with the natural environment scoring tool we thought were just briefly worth mentioning. So the first was that it generalizes quite a bit. Notably, it rewards diversity of use within a site over the site doing any one function particularly well. And we thought that it really underemphasized the impact of incivilities. So if there was broken glass that was prolifically around a site to the point it was unusable, it didn't really impact on the score much more than a little bit of graffiti did. It also omitted some features entirely we thought were worth mentioning. So things like fences around children's play areas or barbecues we thought deserved a higher score, but weren't reflected. And it also doesn't account for any discretionary decisions made by a local council. An example of this was in one urban forest area, there was a clear grass area that was used as the path. The council had intentions to build it up, make it concrete or gravel, but at the request of local residents, they didn't. And that obviously had higher value to the local residents in that state, a more natural state, but because of the way the NEST score works, it rewards more infrastructure and paths, so it didn't really reflect the values of the site. And there was also a bit of inter-observer variation. So Georgina and I might assess a site differently based on some different things, especially the usability category, and suggest that while this might be good for using for comparatively analysing sites, it might not be the best objective assessment of sites. So to wrap it up, there was really little to no evidence of disparity in the quality of green spaces across socioeconomics and LGAs, which was really nice to see. But a different scoring method and a larger sample size would give a more accurate and detailed view. In future, perhaps scoring separately for different uses might be worthwhile, separating things out like recreation and conservation and relaxation values, rather than how the NEST score just generalises them all to one thing. And perhaps using other things such as a public life survey or a quality perception survey might give some different insights. So thanks very much to Dave, Emily and Gabby who helped us out with this one, gave us the opportunity to do this. Not many undergrads actually get to do a full project from start to end like this, and thanks to the council as well for letting us do it. It's a really great experience.